Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. So today is that time of year again where it's time to move into a new planner if you're on a calendar year system or even just revamping your goal setting system. So check out how I'm setting my goals and intentions for the new year in my Go Getter Girl all-in-one planner. So if you've been following me here on YouTube or on Instagram, you'll know that this Go Getter Girl planner is actually the planner I've been using for like my daily spreads. I use it literally like every day for school and everything else. And it also does have a few goal setting pages in there as well for 2020. This year I did decide to continue using the Go Getter Girl planner, and I got the 2021 during launch. And I'm actually really excited because this year there are so many more pages for goal setting and just deciding what you want your vision, not only for the year, but for your life to be. So it's less of a New Year's resolution kind of deal, since I feel like I don't really believe in those because they're kind of useless, and New Year's is just a figment of our imagination because the world keeps turning. But that's not the point. Things don't magically change like on January 1st, so I'm so glad this does start in December, so I'm able to just go ahead and get started planning. So I'm just going to share with you a bit about how I'm using it for my goal setting for this year. For last year, I started it a bit late in August. It is a 6-month planner, but instead of starting those goal setting pages in the beginning, I kind of waited to do it because it was my first time actually doing like all of those prompts and like goal setting things in like my daily agenda. So this has kind of been an adjustment, but I'm so happy to be able to start. So quick plug, if you did want to see a flip through of my 2021 Go Getter Girl planner, I did upload that here on my YouTube channel, so you can click the card that pops up right here and go ahead and watch that after you're done watching this video, or use the link in the description below. So the 2020 version that I have is actually not available on the website, but we do have a few other colors that are available. They're still really awesome. They're available on the site as well. And the tie-dye one I got for 2021 is still available, so I'll link that in the description box below so you can go ahead and order those. Right now, as the time of posting this video, they are 20% off. So go ahead and use the link in the description to order. Once that sale is over, you can still get 15% off using my affiliate link. So don't miss out on the really awesome sales that really are not going to be coming back again for a while. And so to start off like my goal planning and everything for 2021, I didn't want to just dive into the new planner since I have done this before in my agenda. I figured I would just go ahead and revisit what I actually wrote for 2020. I feel like it's less of a just trying to write out what you think you want to change for next year and more reflecting on what worked and maybe what didn't work for last year. So when I am reflecting on what I wrote for this past 6 months that I use this planner, I'm not looking, well, I am looking to pat myself on the back for the things that did work, because I think congratulating yourself for the things and the changes that you've been able to make and like all these moves forward you're able to make is so important. But I also don't want to just shame myself for the things that didn't work. I feel like it's less about quitting and like just getting rid of the goals and things that didn't work, and more just tweaking your system as long as all of your goals are realistic. So I'm using the 2020 to just reflect on everything that I've done for the last year and all the goals that did go well, for looking at how I went through them. And I'll actually go ahead and just note the things, like check them off of my 2020, just the things that went well, and maybe even writing notes about why these certain systems and like your action plan didn't work for you. I think it's also a really great idea. It's something to reflect on later, and it helps when you're writing your plan for next year. And so the 2021 planners still have some of the same prompts. A lot of them did actually change. You'll see here I use like plenty of sticky notes because a lot of the things I want to be able to go back to for these last few weeks of December, I don't necessarily want to solidify anything now. I like to make the changes when I feel like it's time to make changes. I don't necessarily want to just wait for January 1st because nothing's magically changing then, unfortunately. So I kind of want to just try things out right now, especially since I'm on holiday from school. I feel like it's the perfect time to just take a minute and just thinking about the things that I want to achieve and the things that I already have for this year. So in working on these dream big creation pages where it's got different prompts like what you want to achieve, if there were no limits and you could dream up anything, or what do you think is holding you back from the goals that you do want to achieve, I just set my timer for like 15 minutes. I literally plopped down on the floor and decided to just get it done. I think I'm not really a floor person, but sometimes when I'm watching like YouTube or just doing tasks like this, I feel like floor sitting is just what makes sense. And I chose using this timer option. You don't have to use a timer when you're doing any of this. I just felt like for me, it's so easy to get like lost in my head and lost in my thoughts, and I could literally spend all day doing this And if you spend all day doing it and it's productive for you and it works, then like that's awesome. But for me, I knew I was just gonna get more lost and like wrapped up in my ideas and kind of just frozen in like anxiety and like indecisiveness about what I want to write down. And I knew it was just more important to consider the prompts and just, it's more of a reflection and just introspective moment than it was about writing down the most perfect and correct and Instagram worthy answer and just whatever works for me to help me move on to my goal creation and action steps. So for the goal creation pages, you'll notice even more sticky notes. I just took the tie-dye ones from Go Girl Girl website and I just cut them because they are like full-size post-it notes, but I didn't really want to waste a bunch of full-size ones on like smaller boxes here. So I just put post-its so I can at least just get like all my ideas out on paper that I had for now. And then if I decide to revisit it, I can like move a post-it around. Maybe it works better somewhere else for like a different action step, but also just take more time to think about the steps. Because one mistake I made before was kind of just writing in things that I thought worked. And if you're really thinking about your goals and how you're going to achieve them, it's not so much waking up one day and everything changes, and because of what happened on X Tuesday of the month, everything in your life is different. It's about like little steps you're making every day. So I didn't want my action steps to just be something I was like, since I want to read more books, I'm just going to wake up and spend an hour reading every day. That's not really realistic or very specific for me. And me being a planner, a time blocker, and needing like daily guidance for like how my days go, I knew I needed something that was going to fit more into my days with school, with personal life, with everything, and just like make sense and just be a cohesive unit. So I'm working more on putting my goals down first and then my motivation and my why. So putting motivation and why is important because you don't want to just go for things and have zero motivation because you don't really know why you're doing them in the first place. But also it helps me to not rank them, if that makes sense. It helps me decide what is most important to me, not just by like any kind of metrics you can think of, but what actually feels right for me and something that I want to be doing for the year. So once I've got the motivation and why down on those notes, I'll go ahead and fill in the action plan. That'll definitely be happening more towards the end of December when I decide on like the steps that I feel like are working for me right now and the ones that are not quite working for me as well. But that's essentially how I'm tackling like those goal planning pages. And then moving on to manifest your goals. So these pages, it's essentially just talking about what your goals would be if there really were no limits, like at all. If there are limits you can impose on yourself or impose on you by like your circumstance, what would you want to achieve? And so that prompt, I also kind of just wrote that in, no post-it notes or anything, because I wanted to be an honest evaluation of what's coming to my mind and like the stream of thoughts that I'm having at the time. And then moving on to the fear versus reality chart, I felt like it's a really awesome, probably my favorite addition to this book, because I think setting goals all day long and writing about what you want to do and things you did before is awesome. But for the things that you haven't done and the things you're working towards, a lot of times it's less of a can or can't and more of a what thought today is telling me that I'm not smart enough, that I'm not good enough, that I can't do anything even if I try my hardest. And being able to just write on paper that those are just your fears and your reality is likely a totally different conversation is so important, because then it's something I can look back at even when I'm thinking that I'm not going to do anything, which studying for pharmacy school literally feels like you're doing all the things and you still don't know everything, and it's wild. So moving on from the fear versus reality chart and manifesting your goals, I went to the rainbow roadmap. So you'll notice these pages, I kind of just went all out. I felt like there was a rainbow, I had to color it in. I figure I'm not super artsy, like pen and paper and markers for me usually. I do better with outlines, but that's pretty much what this was. So I decided to just go all out and just go for it. I did write this on a sticky note as well because my action step guide I feel like is so closely tied to the goals and action steps that I'm setting earlier on in the goal setting section at the start of the planner. So rainbow roadmap will be getting filled in these last few weeks of December as well. But I did want to start brainstorming on what my actual goal would be. Since this is a 6-month planner, I'm looking less of a 5-10 years from now, and also the fact that I'm literally not graduating until 2023. So there is certain constraints on where I can go and what I can do that falls outside of the like 9 to 5 class schedule that I've got Monday through Friday, but I did make sure to include any like personal goals that I have, and it's not just academics. That's why I highly encourage you when you're going through like your rainbow roadmap or with whatever goal setting system you decide to use when you're thinking of your overarching goals, to not just think of your job or your degree program and think of more you as like a whole person. What do you want to achieve personally, financially, in relationships, in just different aspects of your life versus the one box that you feel like you fit in all the time. Maybe you've got a different goal setting system that you're using, or if you've been using this planner and you've got the rainbow roadmap and you're faced with that, or you're faced with your goals and your why and your action steps and you're thinking this is kind of overwhelming and you're not really sure how to start or if you should start right now. I feel like no matter what you're using, if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. So you shouldn't be pressured to just fill in every box just because it's there. And trust me, I get it. I am a completionist to the core. If it's there, I want to fill it in and do the thing with it. Like I just gotta finish. But if it doesn't serve you in that moment, then it's just not something that's meant for you to do at that moment. I think that there's so much wisdom in deciding that something is better for you to leave unfinished and revisit later when it's maybe causing you less stress to look over, and it's just a time where you're more focused and relaxed and ready to kind of face everything that you want to accomplish. So for my morning routine, what I did for this is I actually transferred it over from my planner from last year. I had all of these sticky notes in my 2020 daily planner, and I actually just stuck them on, and I just picked the time, like my wake up time, the time that I do like different tasks in the morning, like washing my face, dressing up for the day, reading my Bible, like all that stuff that happens in the morning. And I just put it on post-it notes because especially with the structure of my day, if I have a class at 8 a.m., I can't just decide that waking up at 10 a.m. is what works best for me this week. I have to go to class since I'm very interested in graduating. So this time, some of my classes will be like 8, some are at 10. But I found that I am waking up a little bit earlier, even easier than it was for me, just like a few months ago from now. And so I decided I'm just gonna keep it at like 8 a.m. start. So I just listed different times that I'm getting everything done, and it's less of a this morning task needs to be done at this specific time and more of just a guidance of if I have a class or if I have this appointment or something that needs to be done at a certain amount of time that can't be moved, then I want to make sure that I have enough time for self-investment and self-reflection and all of those things in the morning, and just like getting myself ready for the day before I'm diving into the world and like everything else that I've got going on. So if you're new to like morning routine creation, like on paper, or if you just have your habits that you have in the morning, you just wake up and you do them, that's totally fine. Don't feel like you have to write everything down. Sometimes the habits that work for you are fine, and if something works for you, you don't have to go back and revisit it unless you need to tweak it later. But don't be intimidated by any like morning routines that you want to create or that come up like in a planning or goal system. It's really just meant to be time that you're investing in yourself before you're investing in others, so that you have a bucket to pour out of into other people and other situations and other things that you're involved in, more than it is supposed to be a constraint on what you absolutely must get done before you can like continue on with your day. And if you did feel like morning routine creation wasn't exactly what you needed for right now to plan your life, I've seen a lot of people use pages like that, or even just writing in a journal. Instead of morning routine, it'll be afternoon routine or even evening routine, like a time of day where there's not other appointments and things that you're having, where you decide that you're just going to focus on yourself. It's really all that it is, and that's less of a time of day and just more making sure that every day you're getting time to yourself and to invest in yourself. So this year has been crazy for pretty much everyone for a million different reasons and circumstances, but definitely want to go into 2021 just thinking about the bright spots. So go ahead and comment below with a bright spot or memory from 2020 that you definitely want to carry with you into 2021, as we're hoping for a much better year next year. And if you like this video and you want to see more, you can go ahead and subscribe below. Click the like button and the bell so you get a notification next time I post more about planning and goal setting for this year. Thanks a million for watching, and I'll catch you on the flip side.